Welcome, guys, and thank you for tuning in yet another Thursday with our Mod Squad. Here with me, my co-host, Nick Memeti.
Hello. Hello. I just had a foreigner call me, one of the people from the old country. I'm like, hello, this is Nick. They're like, hello. Hello, Nick, you. Yes, it's me.
You are so weird in life.
I just literally got off one of those
weird.
calls, so good to see you.
Good to see
Good to
you
see
too.
you all.
Oh my God, really? Say it again. Good to see you, Carla. I love you.
Good to see you, Graco.
I
Good
love
to
you,
see you,
Carla.
Good to see you guys too.
Let's introduce our guest since I met it.
Hi, Graco.
Oh.
Hi, Carlita.
Hey, Amod. How are you?
Hello, everybody. Happy to be here. 2
Awesome.
o'clock on a Thursday,
Thank you.
and happy to enlighten our listeners today with our special guest. Who's going to do the intros here?
You know, Graco, you need to speak up because I'm not
Yeah.
going to be playing DJ on this board here.
You know,
I
what
mean-
I'm saying?
You-
Yeah,
No?
there you go. You
Can
gotta
you
put
please,
some
this
bass.
is not Dale. This is not like
Okay, put some bass into your
Suavecito.
voice, please. This is a
Hi,
radio show.
this
People
is
want to hear
Graco.
something.
Please call
Everybody
me
else can
You know,
hear me
at
in here.
1-800.
Where did you get that
Graco
Hefner
Highline.
jacket from, anyways?
Hefner.com.
Hefner.com. Jesus.
I'm smoking tonight. I
Hello.
gotta wear my smoker's coat.
Hello, my name is
Okay,
Graco.
if you're gonna go and do your little cigar thing, for all the selfie people that follow you on social media, because I don't stalk you on social media, I'm just saying,
Uh-huh. She does though.
She does.
no more posting the cigar thing. It's like,
Yeah, it's
not cool.
You burnt it out.
I think
a
Yeah.
lot.
I think I did 2 posts
no.
Well, okay.
with
No.
cigars.
Okay, well, whatever
And
it is
the
that you're
rest-
doing, we should like really,
Okay.
I mean,
It's all good though, man.
from the fan club.
All right.
But it's
still love
enough
you.
enough about Graco. You want to introduce our guest?
Why don't you go ahead and introduce her?
She forgot her
Well-
name already.
No, I know
No,
her.
I know her
just
name.
know
Like, get
because
my
he
name
did.
right.
I know her.
this time.
I know her name. We don't. Today we're actually having a guest who's going to give a real life experience. Her nightmares of today's topic being a landlord and buying a property with a tenant, because she obviously has some experience with that. Melissa Diaz, thank you for coming on and giving us your insight and how you've dealt with this issue. Tell us a little bit about yourself and the whole background.
Sure. So I'm a stay-at-home mom for 2 years, landlord to a multi-unit building in the city of Chicago.
What a coincidence! I'm a stay-at-home son. 42.
He really is though.
I really am.
True story.
True story. And you've been a landlord for how long?
2 years.
2 years. And now, is this your first property? Is that your first property? It's not new
It
anymore,
is.
but
Right.
okay.
It would be my first property.
And when you know, before you bought the property, the excitement, the whole concept of being a landlord and making money every month as a residual income obviously excited you, which is why you want to become a landlord, correct?
Right.
You're
yeah.
so anticlimactic. Can we please
Can
explain?
hold on. That was a
I'm
good.
get-
That was a
I'm-
good question.
I lead
I
up
want
to
to
it.
start with
I know
how
you
she
just want to go
met
straight to
me
the.
and how amazing it
Oh,
was
really?
working with
Trust me, I'm gonna
but
touch on you in a second, but
you
let
don't
her.
touch on anything.
Oh, I didn't know
over
this was
here.
about you. I'll step out. Go ahead.
All right. He's like, I was just kidding, Mel.
What
Go
made
ahead.
you? What made you want to be, or what made you want to go after this type of property originally?
So my husband has like this whole plan for us so that he can retire early and we can have, multiple properties in our lifetime. So we're set and we're good and we're not working for everybody else and just paying all these bills and never having like a future for us. So we decided to go for a multi-unit. Carla helped us find this one. It wasn't even on the market. She called me when I was in Florida and then we got it. It happened in like 5 days. She was amazing. It was great. 2
Whoa.
years later, I don't know if it's still great anymore.
Whoa!
Here we go.
That got really anticlimactic.
No, but the reason I really wanted to have Melissa come into the show is because it's the first time that we bring in, well, except for George, right? But Melissa is a past client, but more importantly, it's what we talk about on the show all the time. It's like, why are you working for someone else? At that time, you were employed and you
Correct.
were working for someone else and you weren't happy. So when we
Right.
had the first buyer kind of consultation and like to call my intake, she discussed her goals and she was looking for a single family and she was, she's got a family, so she wanted to live in the property. But then we talked about like, what about having something that subsidizes your mortgage? And, she does have management in her background and she said eventually she'd want to become a manager and manage properties. But now it's become a long-term goal, correct?
Correct.
And this is a way that you and your family are looking to retire and actually, expedite that, having your husband retire early, correct?
Yes.
So, it didn't go very well afterwards because I don't think there's ever there's got to be some education process or experiences that come with being a landlord. It's never going to always be perfect.
Well, let's talk about why it didn't go well.
She didn't say it didn't go well working with Karla.
Right. No.
Finding
It
a-
went perfect working with Karla.
Thank you, Mel.
Okay.
No,
Let
you're a
me
landlord now. You own your house. You have to deal with your problem. Karla just found
Right.
it. You know,
Exactly.
right.
That was her job.
Yeah, it's her job.
She found it. It worked. It went well. Now, 2 years later is where the problems happen, right? But that's what happens when you become a landlord. You
gotta deal with.
You gotta
it's
deal
not
with
always,
what's handed to you,
it's
right?
not always
it's not
rainbows
always
and unicorns.
exactly.
Right.
It's not always extra money and you're safe and you can take a family vacation or whatever. It's now you got to put money in
Wait,
or
it's
you got to
not?
fix this or you got to do that. No,
Yeah.
my safe has been depleted. No.
Well, so wait, then that doesn't sound good. Why would I want to be a landlord if you're telling me your safe got depleted?
Well, if you like challenges, then you'll do what you got to do, right? You can't be scared of something and then just stop living that way.
Risk reward, right?
Right.
No,
So
I get it,
There's
but-
two ways to look at it, right? So like Karla said, when I first purchased the property, my goal was to buy a single family home because I have children and I wanted them to have the space. And then literally a week after I closed, I lost my job from a big corporate company. So in my head, I'm thinking, if I had a single family home, how am I going to pay my mortgage? Because I can't now at this point. But because I was a landlord, I was able to actually pay it because of the income that was coming in.
Subsidized your job loss.
Exactly.
A-
So I was
and-
able to stay home for that time.
And that's exactly what I talk about when we first met. Like, and that's something that I educate because I'm an investment consultant to my clients. And she's a young family, so I always, everybody comes to me with, I want to have a house, I want to have the rooms for the kids. But when you're a first family, you're a young family, you have young children. I always think about, why don't we just educate you a little bit and make you into an investor? Right? Because
Right.
first you have your investment property and then you can eventually grow into a single family. Most people do it backwards. Everybody's pushing for the single family, but I kind of wanted to push them a little bit and see if they would be flexible to the idea. And I think once we started seeing what she could get in the multi-unit category versus the single family category and look at the cost of the carrying cost versus how much income she was going to get. I mean, the property is paying itself, right? But you started doing some renovations to it.
Correct.
So it kind of...
Well, even with the renovations, the property still paid itself. So up until just recently with, my landlord horror stories that you guys will hear soon, it was always paying itself, which is why I was blessed to be able to stay at home and be a mom to my kids and my growing family and be there, for my husband and stuff. So it did. It paid off our mortgage and some.
And I love it because I know the traditional route is always like, okay, what do I need to do in order to be a stay-at-home mom? So a lot of people
Right.
say, I want to be there when the children get out of school. I want to be there to do their homework. I want to be there to take them to their extracurricular activities. And unfortunately, when we're in that 9 to 5 and we're in these, specific price ranges of income with different companies, you can't give yourself that opportunity. So you were able to buy back your life. With
Exactly.
real estate as an investment, where it was initially just going to be like a forever home. We're going to build it, build that white picket fence and live happily ever after. But instead,
Exactly.
you went the investor route.
Right.
My first property was a 2-unit. I was 20 years old.
That was a long
I think
time
all
A
of
ago.
long
ours.
time ago.
All of
My
ours
first
were,
property
yeah.
was a 2-unit. But you know what I like is that not that you wish you lost your job right after you bought a home. That's the worst time it probably feels like to lose a job is right after you take on a brand new big debt.
Right.
But the fact that it was there to give you some kind of a cushion or I should say at least a crutch, I'm sure you'd much rather have your job back. But
No.
it helped.
She's like, no, 1, 2,
Nope,
3,
I'm
no.
good.
No, you're good now? All right, well, that's
Good.
good. But I like that you said, it's 2 years, you depleted your savings, which is not usually what people want to hear if they're going into the idea of buying an investment property. But it sounds like you've been prepared that this is a long game. You said earlier your husband had a plan. You guys want to put your money to
Right.
work in real estate, eventually grow a secondary business and maybe run for president one day and build walls or something. I don't know. That's what they do with real estate entrepreneurs nowadays. But,
You're
and
such a
throw paper
nerd.
towels, but so that's what he
So
does.
hard.
That's
You-
what he
I mean,
does.
can we stick to the...
I
that's
didn't make it up. No.
Okay,
But
rundown.
the reality is that people are so temperamental, especially people that are younger, like yourself. They want to hurry up and buy the house and sell it tomorrow and make $100,000 in 2
Right.
weeks. And it's just this. It's a game that doesn't really exist. It existed for about 10 minutes in 2005, and even then, people were still getting burned trying to treat real estate like penny stocks. And when you're an investor or a landlord, you might be in a situation down the road. Hopefully, your plan calls for this, where you have several different properties. One is up for sale now, but the other ones aren't, and you buy another one after that, and it kind of keeps on rolling or growing or whatever the case is. And so you're not discouraged, which is very important.
No, and it took a long time not to be discouraged, to be honest with you, because there has been a point where I've texted Karla and been like, I need
want
you
out.
to come look at my house and tell me how much it's worth because I want to get rid of it. But at the end of the day, that never happened because I go back into reality. And so I didn't say I depleted my savings. I said I depleted my safe.
Oh, okay.
Two different things.
Yeah, I don't.
Right.
I only have one.
So
I
when
don't
you're an
have a savings.
investor, right?
Wallet.
When you're investing
her.
your money in things, you got to make sure you're putting the money in the right spot and still having some so that you can continue to invest. So my safe has been depleted, but my savings, we're still good there.
Okay, well, where do you hold your safe?
Well, you don't want
Well,
my
it's
safe.
empty
There's
now.
nothing in there.
I have faith in you. You have a good head on your shoulders. I'll see you in 3 years. Where do you hold your safe?
I love it. But see, I want to go ahead and point that, right? So you're saying your liquid assets are depleted, but they're not gone. You didn't go and
Right.
spend them on vacation. You didn't go and spend them on clothing.
Right.
They're invested into the home because we bought a property that wasn't turnkey. It needed work. And so what
Exactly.
were some of the what were some of the upgrades that you did to the home?
So we bought a multi-unit building, as we already said, right? We did a whole remodel pretty much on our first floor. So brand new floors, or we refinished the floors. We did a whole brand new kitchen, new cabinets, new quartz countertops, floating island, recessed lighting, all
Wow.
electrical. Then we did another apartment as well, all new flooring, new bathroom. We did some new wood flooring in another apartment as well. New paint, new light fixtures, new fans, pretty much everything. Like, we've done a lot. So we put in a few $1,000s, if you will, on it.
So
And
you've
we-
invested into the product, but the product is
Yes.
still, it was renting and it was paying itself and you were still making some income because you had,
Correct.
right? So it was paying itself and you were still making income when you first acquired. And once you did the renovations, you were able to increase the rents?
Yes. So
Okay,
we
so it's
increased
like
the rent.
The best
yearly.
formula ever.
Right. And so our goal, too, is always to maintain the same tenant, right? Because you don't want the turnover. At
Vacancy
least,
rates,
Right,
yep.
exactly.
Every
So
month sucks when you have an empty spot.
it does. And you want to make sure that your tenants are happy, because if your tenants are happy,
Already?
I'm sorry, you don't have headphones on, but it's
I
time.
do.
It's time for you do. Oh, I didn't even see him. Okay, well, then you heard that
She
noise,
upgraded.
right?
Oh,
did.
Graco did his
Lord.
thing. Oh my
She
God, how
upgraded.
annoying is he?
You are in
Give me
for a
some good,
nitro
give me some
question.
Do you even have a nitro question for a
This-
stay-at-home mom consumer?
This
is
nitro
different.
question is going to be brought to you by Coldwell Banker and Karla Mina and her squad at Coldwell Banker. What do you guys call yourselves? We'll just say the Karla Mina team. It's easier for me to remember.
That's so
Not
sweet.
Eli's?
Not
brought to you
Stop
by
it. No.
Eli's.
no, I refuse.
No, this nitro question is brought to you by Karla Mina and the Coldwell Banker team Karla Mina team at Coldwell Banker. The question is for you. You don't have to answer right now. I'm going to give you 15 or 20 minutes. We'll come back to it later. But the question
hear
is...
Oh my God, Nick has gone speechless.
No, we'll make this one easy. We're not going to do a tough one.
Do a tough one. She's
No.
a tough cookie. Have you met her?
No, but I want to ask the tougher. I want to ask her a
Ask her
question
the
that's for
question,
related
geez.
to being a person actually on the streets doing it, or a landlord. If you could take one thing that you wish you could take back, one thing that you did during the process of being a landlord, whether it was the wrong tenant or how you screened them or overinvest, whatever it was. If you could take one thing and say, God, I wish I had that back, that would be a great do-over. What would it be? And that's the nitro question. But don't answer that now.
okay.
Think about it. You got 15 or 20
I think I
minutes.
know this.
All right.
Look, her, she knows the answer already.
I do know the
If we
answer.
get back to you and you're like, I wouldn't have hired Karla Mina,
No.
I will reload your safe.
Mel, tell him how I
stacks of
saved
singles.
you
No.
from another
No.
agent. She
They did.
hired and fired a whole bunch of people before she got to me. So
I recommended Karla to many, many people. Actually, she sold to my sister and to my best friend. So she's doing something right.
oh yeah, she's
Man,
doing
I wonder who
something
did that
wrong.
loan.
You don't want to go there.
You don't.
Look at her.
That's a whole different
Yeah,
conversation.
that's it.
I can
She's
tell you
gonna
about
come
that
into the
too.
studio for that, and it's not gonna be nice. So let's keep it PG.
So I have a question.
Family. Oh, you have a
How many
question.
units do you have in your building?
You're so mean.
Is
You
that
are
it?
Why?
so mean.
Because it's a
Why is that
multi-unit.
a mean question?
Yeah, I want how many units do we have in the building?
Because Graco likes
2,
to
3, or 4?
nudge people. He likes to
So-
poke and be annoying.
2, 3, or 4.
I'm going to refrain from answering that for legal purposes on
We-
ongoing case right now.
Oh,
So not to hurt my case, I will not answer that on the air.
what
Sorry.
was it when you bought it? Was it a zone 2 unit, 3 unit, or 4 unit when you bought it? How did you finance it?
According to the appraisal.
By the way, that's going to be
Okay.
reported anyways. You can't
Right.
hide
Well,
Look at
yeah,
her,
I
she
know
looks at
that.
everybody.
But according to the appraisal that we looked over, it was what? What was it?
A
considered?
multi-unit.
A multi-unit.
Yeah.
that. What the? What? A 2, a 3, or a 4?
Two.
Two.
Okay, that's all I'm trying to get
With
at.
two
It was a
accessory
2-unit.
units.
With 2 accessory. Okay, it's a legal 2-unit is what she bought it as.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm not asking what you did afterwards. All right.
And
Didn't do anything
it was being
afterwards.
used as a 4-unit because it was fully rented.
Correct.
And we
Before she bought it, though.
before she
Yes,
bought it,
yeah.
and
Before I bought it.
Mel was actually able to take advantage of it and as an owner occupant, and was able to get really good loan programs product for that. And so she didn't have to come up with a lot of money down, right, for the property.
Right.
So, and she still had 4 units. So one of the units had to vacate for her to occupy in order for her to fulfill her, like the terms of the loan that she was using.
2 of the units had to vacate.
2 of the
for
units had to
right.
vacate, right? And it was crazy because it was an estate sale, so it was a really difficult transaction. But we went, we navigated through it.
I just did one of those.
Estate
4
sales
unit.
are the craziest, right?
And all the leases were expired. It was a real nightmare. It was really tough.
And the property came with tenants, which was really difficult. So
Right.
that's where it takes us here. And I mean, I'm not going to say that you're always going to have those experiences, but I think it's a learning process, right? When you are a landlord, it's not always going to be great, but as long as you have that income coming in, except this one is affecting your extra income.
Right. So the tenants that were originally there when I purchased my building, they're no longer there. But with all of that chaos that we went through during closing and stuff, I think it's really funny because actually they became my compadres.
You're what?
My compadres.
For those that
Translate.
don't speak Spanish.
Translate.
I don't
You
even know what that-
baptized the child?
No. They baptized my child.
Okay.
Yeah.
The tenants that you couldn't stand in the beginning?
Right, exactly. Which
Are
is
you
the funny
serious?
thing. Yes, they
oh
became.
my God, how cute is
Wow.
that?
So it was just kind of like a blessing in disguise for us because they became like family to us. They cooked for us, always had café con leche. Like she's an awesome
I feel
cook.
guilty because, of course, I was trying
So
to
do
increase
I.
the rent.
I want
And-
to come over and get some café con leche.
You guys are really Latino today. You know what WGN stands for, right?
Right.
White Guy Network.
Oh wow.
Nobody understands what you guys are saying.
Well,
I'm
they better
just kidding.
step up.
You're the only
I'm just kidding. I understand what
I
you're
love
saying.
that, though. That's great.
Yeah,
See?
so it became a really good story at the end of everything. So all that chaos that we went through in the beginning, all that screaming and yelling and negotiating that didn't happen, it was great.
See, I love that because, I mean, I know that I just like to make sure my clients are going to be in a safe environment.
Right.
They're always going to have the up and up when it comes to negotiations and leverage. So my biggest concern was for her to take on this project when the tenants were grandfathered in with very low rents.
Correct.
And my goals for you were for you to have optimized your rental yield. So of course I wanted to make sure that the leases had an end date and that they weren't going to be there for a long time because they were really at a discount rate, right?
Yes, they were.
But they were related to the homeowners, weren't they?
Correct.
Yeah.
They were the grandkids of the original owner who sold the building to us.
Right. And sometimes, of course, you're going to negotiate some awesome made up rents for your in-laws or, family members who are going to stay and remain in the property. But my client's buying it and she needs to make this an investment property and she needs to generate rental income. But then they moved out, you had a vacancy and you brought in this new family, right?
Correct.
All right. Before we go to
But
her,
going back. I mean, the topic is about landlord, or I should say, taking on inherited tenants that are a nightmare. But to kind of touch on that before, okay, we'll get to it. Going back to that, usually a tenant, when they know that the title has changed and the ownership has changed, they're prepared that a new landlord could either raise the rent, kick them out, not renew their lease. I mean, they're mentally engaged for what could be bad news for them, period. I mean, or the landlord might be moving to a massive family and going to put their own family in these
Right.
units, and who knows? So, I mean, tenants shouldn't really be shocked or want the old deal. They have their
that's what
lease,
happens
and that's
when
all
you're
they
a
have.
tenant, right? I mean, comes
Right.
with
That's
the,
what comes
risk.
with it. Yeah, exactly. So you got a caller?
We do. How do I do this technical stuff?
Uh-huh. That's why
It's
you
on-
got the big chair.
They'll patch it in.
Hi, you're listening to Market Overdrive.
Hi, guys.
Who's this?
Hi, this is Connie. I'm just calling in because I'm a big fan of the show. I love all the personalities, and
Especially
I'm always
Karla's.
learning something. Actually, yes, Karla. I'm just calling in just to go ahead and just share some recent experience that I had with selling a condo that was tenant occupied. So I just kind of wanted to go ahead and cover my lessons learned, I guess.
You bought a condo that was occupied by a tenant, or you're selling one?
No, I recently sold my condo that
Okay.
was tenant occupied,
Gotcha.
and it wasn't just regular tenants. These were the tenants happened to be I wouldn't call them friends. I would call them more of like acquaintances.
Not compadres?
Did you make them your compadres?
yeah.
They
I
were
guess you
compadres.
could think about it that way. They were exactly. But just wanted to, for I guess the first lesson would be, of course, always listen to Karla because she's always right. as soon as they moved in, Karla went ahead and asked me about. She knew that I was going to sell the condo the following year, so she asked me about security deposit and also making sure that that I had all the correct documentation in place, lease and whatnot. So I got the lease done, but I didn't ask for security deposit because I figured, hey, they're friends.
Oh Lord!
What's the worst that could happen?
Wow.
Everything.
Not asking for a security
Exactly.
deposit, girl. That's like walking across the street blindfolded.
I know. I learned my lesson. Trust me. So, of course, a year later, the lease is up, and I go over that. My future plans. I plan to go ahead and sell the condo, but of course, I'm also trying to. I'm going to go ahead and accommodate them, and I'm not trying to kick them out. I'm just giving them a heads up that it's going to be, put in the market soon, and I'll work with them, until they find a place. I told them not in a hurry. It's just happening this summer. So, of course, they took it the wrong way. They wanted to go ahead and initially buy the condo, then that didn't end up working out. And then after that, they were just kind of like a little bit bitter. They kind of just wanted to sabotage like the whole sale until they moved out. So, of course, every time that Karla tried to show the property, they always try to get out of, showing the property, even though she had people scheduled to view it. And then in addition to that, towards the end, of course, when they moved out, they didn't end up paying they ended up leaving and they didn't end up paying their last month's rent.
That's crazy. So Connie, thank you so much for listening and watching and calling in this afternoon. I want to showcase something though with respects the difference between Melissa and Connie, and there really isn't a difference. It's just that they're both investors, right? They came to me as buyers. They wanted to buy something that they could own or occupy, but I turned them into investors. Because Connie bought this condo and then eventually she decided that she was going to move in with her boyfriend. So she used it as a rental. She kept it as a rental. But Connie, do you remember what you bought it for?
Yes, originally got it for $235. It was a short sale.
And what did I sell it for this year?
$315.
$315.
Wow.
And I'm serious.
Yeah.
This was badass acquisition because she
Right.
bought it and she held on to it. How much did you put into the property?
It was all aesthetics. So I mean, towards the end, maybe like around, I would say like $2,000 to $2,500.
$2,500. We had multiple offers.
Right.
I had about 48 agents outside trying to show this property. And when I met with you, Mel, right, I was like, okay, you're going to get a lease. You're going to get these people you're going to get background checks. You're going to get credit scores. You're going to get the whole 9 yards. Like same process that your lender put you through is the same process you're going to put your tenants through. And Connie didn't listen to me because she wanted to be nice. And she had her friends or colleagues or whatever move in there, and she didn't even take security deposit. And these people became her, what do you call them, frenemies?
Yeah.
Yes, they're now my frenemies. We're no longer Facebook friends. So
Oh, it's official.
She did not
Wow,
go
you guys-
bother them.
You guys must be really pissed at each other.
exactly, it's serious.
Death.
And it turned out that I actually knew the tenants too.
Of course they were.
Carla put him in there.
It's like Carla's brother and
Knows everybody in the
sister.
city.
No, I didn't know them. Oh, I showed up and the guy didn't want to let me in. And I had like all these people waiting to see this property. We listed it low. And
What
of
do you
course,
do when that happens? What do you do as an agent?
I went crazy.
Okay. And then they let you show it?
I went literally crazy, and I told Connie she needed to step in because I had given them proper notice, and I had documented the times when I basically told them on Saturday of that week that I was going to be showing the property between a certain time or open window that Thursday. But this is just to show you the nightmare that can become the tenants can become a nightmare if you don't do your due diligence and follow procedure, regardless
Right.
of whether you're renting to your sister or your brother. I wouldn't rent to Nick.
I would never rent to anyone in your family, Carla.
Well, and in addition
I
to
did
that,
that.
like
Go ahead.
right from the beginning, you need to go on and explain to them because Karla went ahead and bent over backwards for their schedule. Like he was like on tour, and then she was, God knows, like planning her wedding, doing all these other things, and you were very, very flexible with their schedule. And I mean, from the beginning, you need to go ahead and explain to them what their what their rights are as a tenant. And that way, they know their limits, and they also don't take advantage either because they definitely went ahead and they took advantage. And yeah,
It can
It was-
sabotage the investment, right? Because
Yeah,
at this
for
time,
sure.
she was going to tap into her equity into the property and she was going to liquidate the assets. But they were getting in
Right.
the way of doing that. As an investor, you have to protect yourself from this. And you only do that by setting up a contract and making sure that, you know, you give them the tenant handbook that I gave you so that they have the rules and everything's outlined so you're running it like a management company would.
I would just walk in day one and be like, "Hi, I'm your new landlord. I am not going to renew your lease, so you might as well start looking now."
Don't you
Is
just
that
change?
what you do? You just won't renew
No, he
leases?
just changed the
I did.
locks.
You know, there's been some units. Thank you.
Right?
You heard about that
I
one.
love that
By
story.
the way, is illegal.
I did something.
That's
I've
the
done some
best
stuff.
story ever.
You know
You
what?
can't say that on the air.
Did you really do
sometimes-
that?
Sure you
I
can.
don't have a real estate license. I don't even have that property anymore.
I'm not even
So,
going to say anything. Connie,
Wait,
I
that's
would
a true
say bye to
story?
Connie. 'cause
Back when
Connie
I was
needs to
20.
get back to work.
So I was 20 years old. I rented to a husband. And I was actually a boyfriend and girlfriend, and they had 2 kids. And the wife, the girlfriend, wasn't even on a lease. It was just him because he had good credit. She said she didn't, and he just wanted to be the only one on the lease. So okay, great. I did all the proper things, and then I find out, you know, rent starts going late 2 years later, and I go over there once, and it's just her answering the door, and I'm like, okay, and you know, I go there again another month, and now they're 90 days behind, and I'm like, okay, I can't do this anymore. So I took the advice of my parents. They're like, oh, go serve a 5-day notice. You got to go to the court, this and that, and whatever. And I got irked. The judge is like, you're the landlord? I'm like, I'm there all 20 years old looking like I'm 15 back then. And I'm like,
I'm
yes.
sure you look 35 at 20.
And no. And so anyways, you know, the process was really long to get them out, you know, and every time I kept going back, I noticed that dude's not there. So finally I'm like, where's your husband or your boyfriend? We broke up 6 months ago. Oh, ding dong. That's exactly when rent started going late, you know? So I'm like, you don't have a lease if you're in here by yourself. And so then we got in this whole thing. She kept kind of
So the boyfriend controlled the
playing
income.
me around about when she's going to pay me and supposedly she's going to pay me. Finally, I just lost it. I went in there. I knew she was gone. I just started throwing all her stuff on the front lawn. I'm like, no, girl, you're not coming back in here. I had a couple friends with me.
So you do
and
have a license, right?
We're literally this
I
is what
don't
I
endorse
did.
that message.
I did this.
You're not
I
in
was
Yale.
20 years
You're
old.
not in Yale. You're not in jail.
I
Definitely
told
not.
one tenant back then too. I'm like, look, if you don't pay up the balance of your rent, I'm gonna change your lock on Monday.
Melissa, don't listen to anything that
He
comes out of this
paid.
man's-
He paid.
You can't do that, Nick.
He
You
paid.
can't
You
even
can't
be
do
sharing
that,
story
but
here.
I
as a
didn't
landlord,
say-
I can totally understand how
I said this was
sometimes
20 years ago.
your anger could get the best of you. Did you live on the property?
No, and that's something I wanted to bring up actually. It's probably going to be easier to be a landlord when you don't live on a property,
I
believe
would
it or
agree
not.
with that
Because when they're right
100%.
above you, it makes everything awkward. You have to be a little bit more compassionate when they're late. You have to be on top of something within 2 minutes if there's an issue. Oh, you're right upstairs. Why don't you come and fix the faucet right here, right now? It's like, I don't know, I'm not home yet, or you know, whatever the
Right.
case is.
No,
so,
I agree with you 100%. So I've actually been looking. So my husband and I want to get another property, but
I know a really good realtor.
guess who I?
like a legal 2 unit, like a real legal 2 unit.
No, so my unit is legal. There's just some
There's
things
just
that
one
are
legal
not.
unit.
It's a legal one unit.
It's
one
illegal
floor.
too.
I locked doors 20 years ago. You in lawsuit right now as we speak.
But she's gonna tell her story.
teasing
It's
her.
not her. It's not her fault. You
That's
can't.
fine.
It's not my fault, actually. Actually, some of it has to be blamed on the city, and they took fault for that already because I've been working with the city to fix it. But like I said, I'm not going to really touch on that part of it just because it's an ongoing suit. So I don't want to say anything I shouldn't say on air. But for the record, as a landlord, I've never taken a security deposit either. So I don't do security deposits because I just find like it's too much of a hassle. I do move-in fees. So
Look at
everybody
you.
who comes
That's what I do too
in,
now.
it's just a move-in fee. You pay it, you don't get it back.
And
That's
that's
it.
it. It is what it
Because
is.
the city of Chicago was a real pain in the ass with.
Well, I mean, you
security
could get
deposits.
sued for
Exactly.
twice the security deposit amount.
More
Right,
than
because there's
twice.
too many,
More
there's
than
too
twice.
many
More than
loopholes.
twice.
So a lot of being a landlord, you find out that your tenants have more rights than you do,
Right.
which sucks, right? But you just kind of have to show some grace and just kind of go through whatever's handed to you at that point. But for my story, right, my horror story, if you will.
Let's
I
do it.
do
Oh,
have-
you're answering the nitro question?
No.
Because I asked for a horror story.
She's
to do
telling
oh,
her
okay, go ahead.
story.
All
Now
right,
Telling
sorry.
you
my
said
story.
what
you,
Right.
was
you got
she?
that
You
ready
said
for
a
me, though, right?
question.
My
Yeah,
nitro question
I
is
do.
almost ready. Okay, go ahead.
Do you want me to answer that
No,
first?
no, go ahead. Do your story.
Okay, so I do have a tenant currently right now that moved upstairs on my third floor. Haven't been paying rent since June, so that sucks. So in July we did like the whole court thing. We tried to evict them. That's kind of just like kicked me in the ass. I'm assuming we can curse because you did.
Yep.
Yeah, we pretty much were in court trying to evict them. You know, just pretty much trying to get a move out date because, like you said, it gets kind of awkward when you live in the same exact
Yeah.
building as these people. And yeah, we're in October. They're still there. There's a 6-week backlog
And
in
you're
the city of
pissed off.
Chicago. You know what? Actually, I'm not anymore.
Oh,
What?
look at her face.
I'm not. I'm not. I've accepted it. It is what it is.
It's a business.
It is. It's a business. You got to show some grace for whatever is happening in your life. You have to have some faith in that whatever is happening is going to make sense at the end, right? So all in all, it was a blessing because I learned something through just investing, because I did not do probably the application process the way I should have. Didn't do a background check. Just kind of took the word of, yeah, you got some money coming in. Cool. I'm going to get paid. But then at the end of it, looking back, I probably should have been more thorough with that whole process, right?
Yeah.
So that way I could have saved myself some headaches. But that's not the answer to your natural question, by the way.
Don't worry about it. We got time.
So we're still in court right now trying to get these people out. They're still not out of my home. We're still paying for their water. Thankfully, we don't have to pay for the utilities. But water does come expensive, right? Especially if you switch to the meter, because you have no control over how much water they're using, which sucks as a landlord.
They just leave the faucet running all night long.
Exactly. So as a landlord, once
That
again,
would
you're
kill me just to
horrible.
spike.
Well, it sucks because, you know, as a landlord in the city of Chicago, you don't have a lot of rights. You really don't. Even when it comes to just the water bill in general, they don't care. You still have to pay for it, and it all falls on the landlord. So they can spend, I mean, I've had a water bill come up to $600 for 2 months.
Wow.
2 months.
That's crazy.
That's not normal.
You don't have coin-operated washer and dryer?
I don't, but I also don't let people use my washing machine because I'm just a germaphobe like that. It's my building. I live there. No
She
one's
needs her
touching
home.
it.
So then they have to go to a laundromat.
Yes.
Okay.
That's not a part of the deal.
Okay.
But
But
yeah, so
you
we're
haven't
looking
collected
to-
rent since June, you said?
Haven't collected rent since
Why is
June.
it taking so long though?
They lost income.
You need me to go over there and
City
change
of
some locks?
Chicago.
No.
No, I
No,
don't need you to
Relax.
do
It's
that.
all a
Absolutely.
joke.
Oh my God.
I mean, the eviction process is 60 to 90 days at most.
Right, unless you find
Wait,
squatters
wait.
that know how
Did
to
you get? Did you get an
loopholes.
attorney?
No.
Okay, there's your
She
problem.
represented
No, it's
herself.
not.
No, it's
no,
not.
it's not. It has nothing to do with having an attorney. It's just all the loopholes. So you have an allotted amount of time that the city allows.
90 days
people.
at most.
No, because
What
if
are you
you go
talking
in,
about, 90
Cook
days at
County
most?
rule is 90 days is at the most that they'll allow a tenant in there, with proper filings, and
That's not true. If a tenant shows up to court and they say they weren't properly served, they can extend the court to
For
another
another
day.
2
you're correct.
so
and then
you
you
can
got to go
play the
back and
game.
show proof that they
If
were
you give
properly
them a
served.
5-day notice, right, and then they come back in 20, like you get a 5-day notice, and they give you somewhat like maybe a third of the payment for the rent, and you're like, okay, fine, I'll take it. Goes back and kicks
Don't
back,
take it.
restart it. So you don't
right,
take
there's just a lot of loopholes in the court system, if you will, because there really is, right? So they didn't get, so we served them their 5-day notice properly. Nothing wrong with that, except they chose to say that they didn't get served by the process server. So then they asked for an additional 14 days. So, of course, that extends it 14 more days. And then they came in, and then they got legal aid. And then after the legal aid came in, they pushed it to another courtroom. So
and
it
mind
just
you,
kept
they can
going
call
and
they can
going.
call 311 and get free legal services, free legal
Right.
aid. I would have recommended that you give an affidavit of service, and in that affidavit of service, you would have stated, you know,
we did.
person 5 foot, red hair, whatever, and
We did.
kind of say who that person was,
It's Karla Mina.
Yeah.
and then you show 5'4", and then you give that to the judge. But you did that.
We did everything. We did
And
all of that.
How do they get around that?
It's a system that we live in. It's the city of Chicago.
Honey, I know about systems.
Now,
I know.
every
Judicial
city,
process,
people
so-
are watching and listening that even the burbs have different rules.
Right.
And so every city, every suburb has something different for tenant rights. So, you know, you should always check into that before you just buy a property. But it's tougher in Chicago. There's no doubt about it.
Well, Chicago
is
has the
tougher.
Illinois Landlord Tenant Ordinance Summary, and I highly recommend, if you need a copy of that, inbox us. What's our email address?
info@marketoverdrive.com.
I don't think so. Right, Sanchez? Is that what it is? Okay. Thought it was a Gmail. No?
It's the
No.
one you use all the time. How do you not know what it is?
I don't know, just an email. But yeah, we have a copy of that. So if anyone's interested in becoming a landlord or is currently going through the process, we can give you access through maybe Mo or the attorney on our show can provide, you know, the legal leases or the application process. I mean, the application process has become so streamlined too. I can't believe you missed some steps there, Missy. Because you're very
It's a lesson
diligent.
to learn.
Yeah.
And that's funny because I am. I'm extreme. You know how I am very, very diligent in the things that I do. But, you know, again, it is what it is. And I'm just,
When I met her and her sister, they didn't smile the whole time. It was painful. I sat down with them. So my name is Karla Mina. So what is it that you're looking for? And she was like,
we were on a
property.
mission to get a property. There was no
She
time
was
to
angry.
smile.
I was
We were
like, okay,
on a
listen.
mission. We're on a
Listen to
mission. We
your-
got to get it
I
done.
didn't want to listen to your smack.
No, they had something else under contract, and you had a single family under contract, right?
I had a single family with a coach house
Yeah.
under contract. Yeah.
Oh.
In a very rare area that I really wanted to be in, and it didn't happen. And then I fired my realtor.
Share the
And then I
story.
found
Why
Karla.
didn't it happen though? Just so we can learn. I think it's just through experience, right?
Again, it was an estate sale. There were 3 heirs involved in it. It was really just the agent who kind of dropped the ball because she didn't like make sure that she got all the signatures from the heirs. And then like the other agent was giving her the runaround saying that there were signatures. It was just this big back and forth, too much trust put into it. And then at the end of the day, it just kind of fell through.
So basically, they had accepted your offer. Your verbal
Correct.
negotiated. You negotiated verbally an offer, and you agreed to a price. And then
No, it was on contract too.
it was pending.
It was right. Everything was on contract. The only problem is that one of the heirs would not sign it.
Would not sign off on
Right,
it, but they still
exactly.
sold it to someone else
Yes.
from underneath you.
Correct.
So by the time your realtor called for an executed contract or an accepted contract, they had already given the property to another buyer.
Right. For more money, of course.
So it wasn't the heir. It was they were buying themselves time so they can get a higher bid, and then they
It was-
kicked you out of the deal.
Yeah, it was a lot of things that gone wrong on that deal.
Yeah, you as an agent, you have to follow up, and you want to make sure that you get that contract back, and you don't wait 2 to 3
Right,
days to get an
exactly.
executed contract because
Exactly.
they want to sell as much as you want to buy. So, you have to do your due diligence. Nick, where are we?
Can I help you? I was responding to somebody.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
She's like, I can't believe you threw my furniture out. Sorry.
She still
didn't
follows
pay-
you on
didn't-
social
You
media.
didn't pay your rent.
They're still
Well, no,
friends.
she's my comadre now.
You're listening though, at least.
Oh, Lord. I think it is time. It's 2:40. We only got about 5 to 10 minutes left before we have to wrap the show
Hey,
up. So let's
Nick,
get to
will
the
you be
nitro
my
question.
compadre?
No. Let's get to the nitro question answer. You got to answer it. The question was, if you could have one do-over as a
Landlord.
something you could take back and
Landlady.
redo it. Landlady. What would it be?
My appraisal inspection process.
From when you bought the house?
Yes.
Really?
When I bought the house.
Explain.
So when I bought the house, I did not really, and I'll take blame for it because I should have probably been a little more thorough to check out the appraisal and see what the problems were and stuff like that. I kind of just, skimmed through it.
You mean the inspection report? The
Inspection
appraisal's a little bit
and
more
appraisal,
vague. The
both.
appraisal's a little bit more vague. The inspection's detailed.
Yeah, all of it together.
Mhm.
So when I finally got into the building and we're doing renovations and stuff, one of our contractors hit a gas line, right? And that gas line made the gas company come out. We learned at that point that even though the building has 2 meters, only one was properly working, which then in turn came out to being that me as a landlord, I had to pay gas for the whole building because the other one was completely shut off. There was no way to connect it unless I get somebody out there to completely like reroute all the lines, which is going to cost me a couple $1,000 at the time. And I didn't have the money to do that. So at this point in time, I would suggest anybody who buys houses or just buildings in general, just to make sure that there's all these meters for the proper units that you're going to get and stuff like that.
Done the right way.
Done the right way so that you don't have any issues with having to up the bill or, have the bill for the rest of the time that you're living there. So we don't have a separate meter for common areas, which sucks. So even if we move out, like the unit that we live in pays all common areas, our unit, first floor unit, and that could get pricey. So how do you fix that with rent, right, with being fair? So
Right.
eventually in the long run, we're going to have to hire like an electrician, get another meter out for common areas, get another meter for just gas itself, and figure all that out. So that would be my one thing that I would do over. Is
That's
just that
crazy.
portion.
That one caught me off guard.
Yeah,
Well,
you
it's
wouldn't
so
expect
hard.
that, right?
I wouldn't have expected that
Yeah.
one. But I mean, I think it's maybe because I would just assume we tell everybody on every show to review your inspection report. Some stuff
So,
is minor. You
I'm a
shouldn't even be
total-
worried about
I'm a
it.
total
But some
rookie.
stuff is major. No,
Right.
we
So
get it.
as a first time buyer, I would have never thought to look at those things. Now that I'm a little more, in it, I would totally do that. But as a first time buyer, anybody who's going to first time buy, that's my number one advice. So
Yeah.
like even when my best friend bought and my sister bought, I was like, make sure you check this, make sure you check that, because that's what I didn't check. And at the end of the day, it cost me more money than I wanted to cost me. And it's going to still cost me money to fix it, but it is what it is.
Well, let's just rewind though. Is it really something that's that detrimental? Because like if you found this out, you read your inspection report and you knew it was in there that this could be an issue.
She didn't, though.
But she
but,
did
but
it,
hold
so
on.
how
But
would it be
here's
disclosed?
here's what I'm going at with this. And you realize that it was going to cost a couple $1,000s. Would you have not bought the property?
I would probably negotiate it with the sellers at the time to try to fix it. Because
But was it a breaker, a deal breaker? Period. Would you walked away?
No, but I think you could still negotiate that somehow.
This is true.
In there,
Okay.
right? Especially if you have a good realtor like Karla. So it would work.
We negotiated a lot of stuff. In
She's
addition
great
to
until she refers tenants.
I didn't refer her that
She
tenant.
didn't refer the
She
tenants.
did this on her own,
Connie,
but she.
Connie sounded upset.
I didn't refer her that tenant either. I like groom them, I educate them, and then I send them off to the world.
She
Go
does.
become landlords. Go make money. Oh, call me when you're ready to buy something else. But yeah, when you're doing an inspection, of course, you do have to do your due diligence, and you have to forgive yourself for that, right? Because it's really something that it's so difficult. I mean, you had 3 meters, and one of them wasn't properly hooked up, is what you're saying.
Right. So I have 3 electric meters.
You have 3 electric meters, and then the inspector comes in and they check the meters, and I mean, I don't even know how much time they even.
There's a gauge on there that's constantly going around, and it's telling
But was
you.
it working at the? No, it wasn't even working
I
when
don't
you
even
first
think it was
moved in. It was
working.
just like, yeah, I
That's
know what
something
you're
that
saying.
could be
It's moving.
easily missed, though.
Yeah,
I
but the
mean,
inspector should have caught that.
They should have caught that.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you go into, I mean, we had a lot of, that was an estate sale, and we got it for a really good
So
deal.
I think right, and I think a lot of it too has to do with the fact that people lived in the building, so it's gonna be missed, right? Because inspectors going around all this furniture, all this property,
Well,
and stuff like that. So
Mel, when we were shopping, one of the one thing that you did want was separate utilities, and I always told my clients,
no
3
kidding.
bedrooms, right, is what I wanted. I wanted 3 bedrooms on each floor, and not but I tend to buy for you like it was for myself. 3 bedrooms, right, because you can optimize
Yep.
the rental yield, and when you have 3 bedrooms, it caters to families, and families tend to stay longer, so you avoid vacancy rates. And then, of course, separate meters, because you don't want to. Some people can keep their heat at, I mean, I love it at 90, and it's 80, and
Right.
it's nonstop.
and truth
all
be
day long.
told is if
Just
you know
kidding.
you're evicting somebody, they still gotta pay their utilities, so you don't gotta pay it for them, so it doesn't hurt as much, right?
No, but yeah, you have to cover their utilities. You got to keep it at a certain temperature.
Well, I'm saying like so the people that I'm evicting, they cover their own utilities because they have a separate meter, and
Oh,
all of
you're
theirs
lucky
is
for
run
that.
electrical, right? So you would want a separate meter when you
Of course.
buy, so that if you do get in that situation, it doesn't hurt your pocket as much.
Right.
Because right now I'm just not getting the income for the rental, but I'm also just paying their water. It's not like I'm paying their gas and their electric and stuff like that. Because thankfully they have their own, and so if they want it, they gotta pay
Unless
for
you
it.
start with landlord-tenant war, and then one
Yeah.
locks the door, the other one starts
Which-
running the water all day, and
Don't mess with me, yo.
he's
Don't mess with
gonna
me.
lock you out.
Which brings me to, if I could have like a second quick nitro question.
You've had your
Um,
chance.
If you, as a landlord, acting landlord, not buying the property, because that was
Mm-hmm.
really like before you even became a landlord, is there anything you would have taken back? And you're gonna have to answer this one quickly.
I wouldn't move into the property.
You wouldn't move into the property.
No.
Okay, that's
Well,
yeah.
under that loan
I could-
program,
I could-
you would have had to.
You would
I
have had
know.
to
Yeah.
under that program, but from here on out, you'd prefer to just buy them as investments and not have to
Right.
move in.
But to answer your question quickly, probably just more thorough background checks, if anything.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah, that's-
check to make sure they didn't get evicted before, which unfortunately, if I would have done that, I would have known that this would be their second eviction.
Yeah.
Right. So just
Mhm.
being more thorough on the background checks and income detail and all that.
Whew.
It's crazy.
It's tough.
It's tough because we always talk about like, oh, why don't you buy a multi-unit property? And everybody's buying multi-units. I mean, there's a scarcity. I have multi-unit buyers who are, we've been shopping for like 6 months, and it's a bidding war. It's crazy. Everybody wants to do it. You bought it at a really good price and a
I
really good
did.
time.
The thing
And
that,
my lot is unique, so it's great.
Yeah, you have a
So-
wide lot. And
Right.
yeah.
the thing that nobody ever does, and they think we're just being difficult on the financing side. Every time we underwrite these, though, we deduct 75% of the projected rental income for the year, and it's for a lot of reasons.
Right. It makes
But
sense.
the main reason, and some people will argue with us and say, "Wow, you're really giving," like when it comes to income, because in your case, you're saying you're going on 6 months or 4 months right now.
June.
Okay,
Fine.
June is
October.
right
yeah.
at 25% of the year is already gone. It's 4
Right.
months is gone.
Yep.
So if they go another month or so, we're starting to dip into 60% of the income is all you receive for the year or whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're doing these and you're buying these, you should really stop doing the napkin math and looking at, the full amount of rent on a regular basis and truly take into consideration you'll never get the full amount of rent. Because even when a perfect tenant leaves, it might take you a month or two to re-rent it out.
Right. Which
So
is
that
why,
full year didn't happen now, right?
Right. Which is why you have that safe savings.
Right.
Right. You put all that
Where
in
is
there.
that safe again? You still haven't given me the location of that safe.
Where is
Maybe off
it?
the air. Maybe off the
Way
air.
out there. All right. I'll
Don't
wait
do
for
it. He changes locks.
You're right.
Unless you want to make him a compadre too.
No.
All right, yeah.
No. Great stuff. I mean, but what are your intentions now? Where you go from here?
So we are looking, like I said, to buy another building. This little hiccup has not scared us away from continuing to invest because we really want to continue to invest. And then once we find another property to invest in, whether it's in the city or maybe on the outskirts of the city, then we'll probably look for our forever home.
Want to buy 40 units? Condos?
No.
Okay, just try. Just thought I'd try. You know, Graco, you got anything to sell? She wants to invest.
I'm trying to get rid of my investment property right now.
All right. Well, let's just wrap this bad boy up. It looks like
No, not
Karla.
yet.
Well, I mean, what are you doing over there?
I'm calling Carmen.
I think it's like really just not. No, it's just not working. It's just not working.
What are
It's
you
just not
talking
good.
about? You're always not paying attention.
No,
This is like the
You're,
first time
you've gone
I'm not
MIA
paying
in the middle of a
attention.
show.
I'm not. I was checking emails
It's
for the
2:40
person
it's
that wants
2:47.
her clothes back. I don't know. What was your
2:47.
joke? What was your stupid
2:47.
ongoing joke?
Let's wrap it up.
2:47.
Wrap it up.
You
I
wrap
was
it up.
communicating with the viewers on
Thank you for
social
listening
media.
to Market Overdrive, everybody. Thank you to
you.
Melissa Diaz,
Thank you for having
Karla
me.
Mina, co-op banker, Nick Memeti.
Of Island.
Of
Remember
Island.
That's actually
That's where we work.
Company you work
yeah.
for. So you're looking for a new place. See, Graco, shout out. Make sure that she gets the right services officially because
Hey, actually, I might have a 2-flat for you. I might be
Where?
selling mine.
what
If you
two
like- if
flat?
you- We'll talk about it off air.
Can you believe this guy?
All right, I'm going to wrap this bad boy
wait,
up. You've been listening to Market Over. What? Carmen who?
Carmen is calling now.
When?
We have an event. We
It
are
is
promoting
way
next
over.
Wed-
She
next
shoulda called
Thursday.
already.
No, it's
All right.
It's 48 and after. Okay, so we are going to go live on location next Thursday. We are going to be at Stewart Title in Naperville in celebration of the Illinois Associations of Realtors and Agro. Patch her through, because Nick is always in a hurry. Carmen,
Yes.
how are you, love? Nick's just like trying to speed up the process. He never lets me enjoy myself.
I didn't think you'd get a hold of her. I thought she was busy. Hey, Carmen, how you doing?
I am here. Good. How are you guys?
Good. Tell us what's going on.
Good. I mean, it's all about you right now, Carmen.
Carmen was at the
Hey.
National Association of Hispanic Realtors event right now convention, correct?
Yes. So I was at National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals.
That's what it is.
Came to Oak Brook, got some work done. I need to be at a 3:45 appointment, and right after that, I am running to a Women's Council of Realtors West Suburban event tonight. Right after that in Naperville.
Love it. Busy, busy working mom.
Did you take any coffee?
Don't ask me how many cups I've had. But that's not the
Tell.
point. The point is that I get it done. But I want to send a huge shout out to you guys because the energy is electrifying. And not only is the energy electrifying you guys bring, but the content that you bring is also amazing. It's so helpful, and you guys are doing you guys help the industry. So this is awesome. So thank you guys.
Well, thank you.
Carmen, tell us about that event that's coming up next week.
Yeah.
Yes, so Stewart Title, so we are having a grand opening, Stewart Title, next Thursday, the 12th, from 2 to 8 p.m. in our Naperville office. So what it is we not only are opening offices, but the concept is we're opening offices with big, very spacious, beautifully designed closing offices so that all parties can go in and enjoy the atmosphere, and everyone, including the real estate agents, buyers, sellers, families, can all fit in comfortably with Wi-Fi and, like I said, beautifully designed. So we're having an amazing grand opening, and Market Overdrive will be present.
Do you have a big throne chair for me to sit at when I do my show? I don't usually work outside of the WGN studios, but I'll do this because I love you, Carmen.
Set up for you.
Thank you.
You are
I have
so
a whole
painful.
studio set up just for you.
That's what I'm talking about, Carmen.
Nick's
So
just a
Nick
little
is gonna
shy.
do the show in one studio, in one conference room, and we're gonna be in the other.
Yeah, we're going to have Market Overdrive in one office, and that's right. They're going to put Nick's name on the other office,
That's
and
what
so
I'm
he's going to
talking
take
about.
over. He's going to have his
Just
own
Nick's
show.
room.
Just like
The
The
Nick
Rock, I
closing
am
room?
the most electrifying news broadcaster today.
Well, what it is Nick's a little shy, so we have to kind of, work with him.
Wait,
He's a little
Nick's shy?
I am I'm very shy, but
Shy. Yes, he is.
I just do this for my fans, the millions and millions of the Nick fans.
No, but
I do want to encourage all our friends who are listening and watching today, realtors and attorneys, please come out and support. Thank you, Carmen, for thinking of us. We are so happy to come out and do Market Overdrive, or broadcast Market Overdrive from your new space. We're really happy that you've invited us.
And what's the show topic for that? Chicks that kick ass in the industry?
I love that. I think
You like
that
that?
should be a
I
great
Let's just
topic.
do it. Let's just call it Chicks that kick ass.
I don't like the word chicks though.
but it sounds cooler when it's
No,
like
it
girls
does
can.
not.
Okay, then
No.
okay,
1, 2,
female
3, no.
ladies that really
What do you
do
think,
well.
Mel?
Ladies
I
building
like
an
chicks.
empire.
I like chicks. I don't think it's gonna be about girls versus boys or chicks
I thought
or
it
anything.
was. I thought
It's
the
you know
board-
it's Illinois Association of Realtors Inaugural that day, and
Okay.
we may have Matt stop by and say hello to us, and we're gonna be chatting.
That would be amazing.
With some really amazing realtors. It's always great to collaborate in the industry and hear what's happening. We're going to be in Naperville, and we're going to be live right before this event. So anyone who's out and it's also going to the IAR, you can't say that too fast, inaugural, could swing by, say hello to us, and we may interview you. So
Naperville.
Naperville.
Yes, so
River
expect
Walk.
anything and everything. There will be giveaways. There will be amazing catering. There will be
What are the
there will be a
giveaways?
lot.
Do we have a giveaway from Ilone?
We
do
always
have
give
a
away
giveaway
something.
from
Are we
Ilone?
giving
What
away?
do you
What are we
have?
giving away? Graco?
We're on the spot here.
We'll
We'll throw in some.
throw something. Don't worry about it.
something.
We'll have a niner there.
We're doing
we'll have something.
Bulls tickets.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, we'll do
give
some
out
Bulls tickets. Yeah.
Bulls tickets. So if you
Amazing.
want a Bulls ticket or you want an opportunity to win tickets to go see the Bulls, who are the baseball? I'm just kidding.
Carla's giving away Cubs playoff tickets. So
Yes.
be there.
Yes, but Chris Bryant's getting married, so it sucks. Anyway, so we will meet you there. Can't wait to hang out with you. And of course, Carmen, thank you so much. We love you.
Thanks,
And
Carmen.
I love
Carmen.
you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we'll see you,
Don't-
and yes, please see you then.
Don't forget my throne.
Okay, you
Thank
got
you.
it with
Thank
your
you.
name on it.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
thanks. Bye, guys. Love you guys. Bye.
We got to get going. Melissa has to go pick up the kids. You know, she is a stay-at-home mom.
People got things to do,
Things
places
to
to
do.
see, people to be.
people to be.
I got to go back to my work and be an owner of a
What is
desk.
it that you do?
I own a
You
desk,
own a desk.
basically. That's the show. We're going to wrap this bad boy up. We will see everybody next Thursday at 2 o'clock once again. Of course, you can follow us on Facebook /Market Overdrive, or you can go to our YouTube page. All of these shows will be cleaned up and edited, and we'll take away swear words that me and our guest Mel had decided to do
Potty
today.
mouth, mommy.
Ass is not that bad.
And S is very important. What? Excuse me? All right. We were wrapping up, but we'll come back. What did you just say?
Wrap it up.
Ass is not that bad. All right. Well, you can find ass, and you can find. No, I'm just kidding. You can find the show on our Facebook page in Market Overdrive, our YouTube channel, Market Overdrive. Of course, you can go to our podcast. It'll be there. Subscribe to our podcast. We're part of the WGN family. Just go up into your iTunes and grab that bad boy. And, of course, you'll be able to one day, well, not one day, but you can today, go to the website, and also you'll see a catalog of our shows. So other than that, we will see you guys next Thursday, where we will actually be live in Naperville. At Stewart Title.
Yes.
Stewart Title, doing a live show out away from my location, sir. You know, it's going to be very
Is that okay
uncomfortable.
for you?
I'm
Are
going to
you
bring
gonna
my
be
chair
okay?
with me,
You're gonna
but
bring
we're
your
going to make
chair?
it all happen. All right? So see you guys next Thursday, 2 o'clock. Thank you.